We have Greg Garza with us here today. We are so excited. Thank you for coming
Thank
on
you
the
guys.
soccer ladder.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to this one.
So, I feel like we have so much to talk about. Your background is extremely extensive, but I'm also so fascinated by what you're doing now as well. So, first, just for those listening at home, just a little bit about Greg. He's been in the soccer world since 12 years old. Is that when you went to Brazil?
That is the age that I left parents and moved to a different country.
That is crazy. So he played in Brazil. You went to Portugal after that?
I actually went to Florida because before what you guys have and the opportunities that you guys have, our only pathway was ODP, so Olympic Development Program, and they selected the top 40 players for the under 17 national team, and we moved to Bradenton, Florida, and we would use IMG's campus. So we lived there for 2.5 years to prep and get ready for the under 17 World Cup. I was playing a year up, so I was one of the youngest ones there, and then ended up getting selected out of those 40 to the, I believe, 23 to go to the under 17 World Cup. And then from there, played in the under 17 World Cup in South Korea. From there, went to Portugal.
Wow.
Wow, we didn't even know all of that about you, Greg. So you were in Brazil, US, you were in the Liga MX. Is that how you say that? Liga MX?
That is great job. You got it. Liga MX.
You were also in the MLS. You won an MLS Cup.
Yeah.
What am I missing here in your background?
I also won the Liga MX in 2012 with Club Tijuana. So I think there's very few of us that got to win both leagues, and if you're Mexican American. So I was very fortunate. I have both passports. My dad is Mexican and my mom is American. So I got a little bit of that diverse cultural background in my blood as well. And my kids have three passports. They are Brazilian, Mexican, and American. So the diversity continues.
Good for them. I mean, just since we're on this topic, what is it like to win two cups, MLS and then with Liga MX? I mean, not very many people get to say that.
Yeah, I would say that's a question I get asked a lot in terms of which one I enjoyed more. Two different worlds, right? I think for Club Tijuana, it was also something to where you had a lot of rejects on the team, to where it was just kind of a lot of players that were loaned out, kind of nobodies, so to say. We were the nobodies, and we were kind of the underdogs of that whole entire season. So winning that cup and seeing a city completely stop because of winning that cup was something that I think I will cherish and remember for the rest of my life. Just seeing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people parading the streets. I think our parade lasted maybe 2 or 3 days, nonstop, 24 hours, 48 hours, just nonstop parading the streets and seeing so many happy faces, people crying. I think soccer there and football, right, is just more of a religion. People live, breathe, eat, sleep. It's just something that is so different. And then in terms of on the flip side, being here in the States and in an inaugural season here in Atlanta, doing well our first season and then winning the MLS Cup. Oh yeah. Yeah, Atlanta
That was
United.
their first season. That was their first
Uh,
season.
So we won the championship in the second season. Yeah, we made the playoffs. We made the playoffs in the first season, and then I think we realized that we had a championship team on our hands and ended up taking it all the way in our second season of the existence of the club, which has really never been done before.
You know, I started the soccer ladder because I'm a mom, soccer mom, trying to navigate this journey that Liam is on. He's in his first year with Red Bull Academy, and it's an amazing journey, but it's such an unknown journey with so many questions. And I'm just a nervous parent and want to know kind of like the path that he's going to travel. So, I feel like the universe heard that and boom, you popped into the scenario and you're like, hey, I'm one of the co-founders of Beyond Goal Mentoring. And here we are. So Liam actually had his first session with you on Monday, right? So
Yeah.
just a couple of days ago. So Lee, what'd you think of the first session with Greg?
That was fun. Like, I loved how you like mentioned how you like your career and like how your career went on and how brilliant it was.
Thank you, man.
You just like having to be able to talk to him and
Yes.
hear his story. Is that what you're
Yes.
trying to say?
Mhm.
Thank you, dude. Thank you. It's fun to always get to know you guys as players and even as families because this journey, as you mentioned, Megan, it's something that is it can be a roller coaster one, and having a village of support that can be by your side, not just mom and dad, is so significantly important. So that's something that we really wanted to create with Beyond Goals Mentoring is creating an outlet for players to help navigate the journey that you're on, but also be an additional asset of support to mom and dad throughout this whole entire crazy, wicked journey that you're on as well.
Definitely. Yes, I love that. We're going to actually jump back to kind of your background and your soccer journey.
Okay. So, how old were you when you started playing soccer?
I was 4 years old. I was 4 years old, and I want to say my very first team was called the Kicks, if I'm not mistaken. It was a yellow team, and I was number 10, and I had no idea what number 10 even meant. I was also the youngest one on the team, and I remember that the coach had known me personally, and when my parents went to go register me, the city of Grapevine, where I'm originally from, would not let me be registered. But the coach that knew me said, "Hey, you got to register this kid. He'll be okay." So I was a mature little guy, probably the smallest one on the team, but it all started there. And then, yeah, dude, the rest is history.
What position did you play like when you first started?
I think I was like that goal scorer kid to where you'd score all the goals, and then, if the team started winning, I'd probably go play defense as well to just save the result. I'm sure, Liam, you were probably in the same boat as me when you were really young. You probably played all the positions because wherever the team needed you the most to be the most effective, that was probably something that you paid a lot of attention to in becoming versatile and also learning the crafts of all different positions.
Mhm. Yeah, that's exactly what happened to me. How old were you when you started playing in Brazil?
I was 12 years old. So 12 years old, I moved there. It was an opportunity that my mentor gave me as a young boy, sat me down with my parents and gave me the opportunity to move and train with a team called Sao Paulo FC. In the ranks were Mr. Oscar, who ended up playing for Chelsea, was on my team. Casemiro was right below me as well. So I got to grow up alongside of these greats of the game. Little did we know, Liam, we were just 12-year-old kids. None of us knew we would become professional soccer players. But I think for me, I was kind of that young kid from Texas that was a really, really good player to where I think everybody had kind of known that as a young kid. And then, Liam, I got to Brazil at that age, and I was like, holy moly, I am not the best one anymore. I am probably one of the last ones here, but I think for me, I always tell you guys as kids to always travel the world, see different things, experience new things. That's the beauty of what soccer provides that no other sport does, because you get to see the difference of life in different places and learning about different cultures. I always tell you guys that I grew so much more as a person than I did as a player when I moved to Brazil because I got to see the differences of life the way that those kids kind of grew up. Sometimes not in the greatest areas, or sometimes growing up with very little, and soccer was kind of their way out of those areas. So for me, being an average American kid, to see that at a very young age, it matured me quite a bit and helped me understand the values of life. And that's the beauty of what soccer does to a lot of us.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's
I mean,
incredible.
can you imagine moving at 12 years old? Was there a
No.
language barrier?
Oh yeah, I spoke nothing of Portuguese. My dad is Mexican, never taught me a lick of Spanish whenever I was a kid. Wanted me to grow up purely American kid. And today, Liam, I speak three different languages completely fluently. If I speak Spanish, you don't see an accent. If I speak Portuguese, you don't see an accent. So I'm very fortunate to have learned different languages and kind of be immersed into the world of what the ball gives us.
I love that. Yes,
It's
I'm a
really
big
cool.
like proponent of travel in general. Anyhow, it just really opens your eyes. So to be able to do that and play soccer.
Yeah.
Stemming off of Liam's question, and you kind of answered it. How did moving to Brazil at a young age shape you as a person and a player?
Yes, I would say being surrounded by players that have, I will always say this, a hunger to their game, really allowed me to grow as a player and person. And I would really say, Liam, if that's something that I would be looking for, obviously I have the shirt on here because right after this I have to go watch young Atlanta United players play. So I have to kind of coach them through and help them understand the necessities of being on the field. And I would say the only thing that I ask them for, and I would ask you guys for, is just how bad do you want it? How much hunger can you show every opportunity that you get to go out on that field? Because it doesn't last forever. And kids like you who have this opportunity to be so high on a pedestal almost, right? You can't take it for granted. So that opportunity that you have in front of you, if you can show those coaches and just the people around you, I want this more than anyone else, and even for myself, that's something I always look for. And that's something I learned at a very young age because those kids, given the circumstances of how they grew up and where they came from, gave them that extra hunger, I think, internally and kind of within their hearts. So I learned that very quickly that I had to have that same mindset as them if I wanted to even survive on the field with them at that young age.
Stemming off of what you just said, what would you say are like the top traits that a child needs to succeed? I know you said, you got to have that hunger and the drive, but like what else?
It goes along the lines with what we do with our mentorship program is I think the three pillars in our personal point of view, Liam, is confidence is number one. You always got to believe in yourself, even sometimes when others don't, right? Even sometimes when you don't believe in yourself, you still have to find a way to have belief. So confidence is huge. Leadership is a massive one for me because the type of person that you are on and off the field, the priorities that you have, the decisions that you make, the choices that you make. You look up not only to me, but all the guys that are even on the Red Bulls because they serve as role models. And so the decisions that they make, the type of leaders that they are on and off the field, will determine and give you a good printout of what you can do in the future as well. So role modelship for me is huge in the type of leader and person you are. And last but not least, I will say the resilience, and that is the most important piece. The resilience is something that, hey, Liam, it's always going to be a roller coaster. There might be some unfair things that are thrown your way within the path and journey that you are on. But how you react to those things and how you deal with those things and how you cope with those things and how you grow and mature with those things really determines the type of person that you can be as well. So those are my three most important things. And I tell you, Liam, like I probably told you in our very first session, that it does not matter how elite of a player you are if you don't have an elite personality to go behind it. And those three characteristics right there, they give you an elite personality to always go behind the elite player that you can be.
Yes.
Lee, what would you say your greatest strength is as a player right now?
Definitely my leadership, I think. Think I'm the person to strive the team in like hard moments.
That's great. And the cool thing about leadership, Liam, is that there's different ways to lead. You don't have to be, some people think a leader is the person who wears the captain's armband or who is vocal and who is communicative. Do you remember what I told you in our very first session, what type of leader I was?
A silent leader.
There you go. I was a silent leader. I was somebody who led by action and led by example. I wasn't the most talkative person, but I just knew if I worked my absolute tail off, everybody around me would kind of want to do the same thing. That's important.
I think the Red Bulls want you to be a little bit more vocal though, right?
Yes.
They want you to be a
Yeah.
vocal leader, not a silent leader.
Especially being as a center back.
How important is coachability?
Oh man, coachability is massive. Liam, how many coaches have you had in your youth career so far?
You actually haven't had many. You've been blessed to have Justin for
4 years.
4 years. He
Um,
probably has had three.
Okay. Yeah, every coach is very different, right? Whether it be a private coach that you have or whether it be a coach that you have on one of the teams that you've played at before, every coach is going to be different. And you might not always agree with everything that they say, but trying to always take a percentage of what they can say and be a benefit to help you as a player is extremely important. And I think that's what coachability means to me, is that I had some coaches in my career that I would say I didn't enjoy to be with, right? Because you can't choose the coach that you have, but can you still pick things out of that coach that will still benefit and help you the best way possible? And I think that's what the sport teaches you as well, is you might be in an area or in a specific place to where you're working around people that is hard to work around. Think about all the teammates you've had. Not every teammate is your favorite teammate, but you still have to find a way to respect them. And I think coachability comes from that word, is just respecting all of those around you. And if there is not kindness in the room, how can you be that one person to kill them with kindness? Is something that I always look for in kids and players.
I'm a big person for kindness. So that's something I've preached to Liam since he was a little kid. So I like that. I like that you said that.
What were the key differences between playing in Brazil, Mexico, and the U.S.?
Man, Mexico, you got key differences of Mexico, Brazil, and Portugal, and the US. I played in Portugal for 4.5 years. I know, dude. I've been a globetrotter. Yeah. See, Liam, I have a lot of tattoos. I can't see myself, so I don't know what I'm showing in the camera, but I have a lot of tattoos, but I always say I have a gypsy woman, and most people always tell me, who's that? Which girlfriend was that you had in your life? But that is actually just a symbol for me, that I always say that I feel like I was a gypsy of the world. I still feel that I am, because I don't live where I grew up. I'm always someone that has had to adapt to different places and different areas. And I think the key differences for me is that I immersed myself in each culture and each environment that I lived in. And when I say immersed, I wanted to learn the language as quickly as possible. I wanted to be and live like the Portuguese. I wanted to be and live like the Brazilians. And I lived my whole entire career essentially away from the United States. So coming back to the MLS for me was almost being like a foreigner, because I had lived almost more than half of my life overseas or somewhere else. So even playing in Mexico, I wanted to be and immerse myself into the Mexican culture and dive deep into maybe the culture that I have in me that I didn't really know before. So learning everything that I could, whether it be from language, foods, people, just how they treat others, how they are with others, the trust that they have around others. So all of these different things that I learned to kind of shape me into who I am today, Liam. And that's the beauty of, once again, I say traveling. You have kids on your team that you might not even know deep enough to see what their cultural background is. There are kids on your team that have all different last names. Like, look at your last name. I don't know what your cultural last name is, right? But every kid on your team probably has, it's a melting pot of kids from all over. Their parents are from all over, and they're raised in different ways. They're spoken to in different ways. So I would say the key differences for me were to try and view how I could be in their shoes and kind of get to know them as quickly as possible, to be immersed and kind of adapted into those environments as quickly as possible.
Do you see a difference in the style of play as well? I know everyone always talks about like European soccer and getting to Europe, and is it faster? Is it quicker? I mean, is there a difference in the game or
Yeah, every place that you go, you'll always learn a different style of play and you'll always see things differently. I don't necessarily agree with a lot of players who say, ooh, the soccer is better here, the soccer is better there, because I feel like you got to get the most out of where you are. And there are some players, there are some European teammates that I've had that come over to the MLS, Liam, and they don't survive within the first 6 months and they're gone. And maybe they thought it was going to be really easy, dude. And they're like, holy moly, this is a lot harder than I thought. This league is actually really, really good. So I don't have that stigma on, hey, if you play here, if you play there, the soccer is necessarily better. I do think within terms of style of play, you learn and you pick out different things to help you grow. If you go to Spain, you might learn that, hey, it's a lot of tiki-taka, and that's how it's within their identity, right? With how they play, their representation of them playing is very short distance. They don't hit a lot of long balls. They don't play very direct. Maybe because they're all my height, Liam, and there's not many people that are over 6 foot in Spain, right? But if you go to England, then they might play a little bit more direct because they have huge dudes that are all 6'3", 6'4", and it allows them the opportunity to do so in those ways. So in the places that I lived, I think from tactically and just emotionally, the coachability side of what you guys mentioned, I tried to take little pieces of what I could and still have that representation of kind of that first exercise that we did of who I was as a player, to continuously help me grow the best way possible.
When did you move into the position that you played?
I was a left back.
So yeah, when
Uh,
did you become a
Liam,
left back?
if you could choose, Liam, if you could choose, would you play center back or would you play forward? If you could choose on any given day.
Oh, center back.
You'd pick center back. All right. Well, dude, I never picked left back in my whole entire life. On the shirt that you are wearing, dude, I could pick out a picture and I can show you one day. It was the under 14 national team, our very first international trip. I was your age, and we went to Guadalajara, Mexico, for the under 14 national team. We played against Chivas. We played against all these different teams, and I was number 10, and I was playing attacking center mid and left wing. And those were my only two positions on every single youth national team. Even though I was a professional athlete, I was playing left back as a pro, and I would go in with the youth national teams and still play number 10 and left wing. But the very first day I became a pro, Liam, I got to Sporting Lisbon and was on the reserve team and kind of going into that first team, and the players that I had that were also center mids. One of them now is the captain for Real Betis. The other one was a right back for Arsenal for many years, and they were the two center mids. So the coach looked at me, Liam, and he said, "Look, we got way too many good center mids. We just signed you as a center mid, as a professional soccer player. I'm gonna make you into a great left back." Guess what I didn't know how to do, Liam?
Play left back.
I didn't know how to defend. I never defended in my life. I was just attacking minded. And so I would stay extra. I would do extra things, really learn tactically how to be a good defender. And I think that's having the coachability side of things, but having an open mind, and a growth mindset. Everything that you guys learn in school, you guys all learn about growth mindset. I didn't have growth mindset as a kid. I don't know if mom had that terminology as a kid, growth mindset. But 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 Liam, right? The growth mindset is essential to wanting to continue to learn and shape yourself as the best player that you can be. So there is no ceiling for you to hit as a player. Even in the last days, dying days of my career, I was still learning. I was still learning how to play certain ways and adapting to those ways.
Really cool. That's really cool.
Very cool.
What was your proudest moment as a professional player?
This is a cool one. Thank you for asking that, dude. That's one of my favorite ones, dude. Because most people are gonna think that my coolest moments or my favorite moments as a professional athlete was to lift a couple of trophies or to represent that jersey that you have on from the age of about 12 to 13 all the way up until the full team. But those are not my proudest of moments, dude. My proudest moment is, although those are very proud moments, but in the 2018 MLS Cup final, we played against Portland Timbers, all right, in the Mercedes-Benz, and that's when we won the MLS Cup final. But my proudest moment, dude, is that I was playing left wing back that game, and the right wing back was my longtime best friend from the very first under 14 national team camp, all the way up until that game. So we ended up, guess what I did the very first play to him, Liam?
Score?
I kicked the crap out of him, man. He was my best friend, but when you're playing on the other team, man, there are no best friends, right? But Liam, that was my proudest moment because he was my best friend growing up. And I think for us, although we beat him and although we won the cup, I think just hugging him after the game, Liam, it was a dream come true to see both of us kind of go through our journeys in a much different path, in a much different way. but we both ended up to where we dreamt of being. And so I had known him since I was about 12 years old. And to grow up with him and kind of go through what you're going through right now, and let's say your dreams come true, but there's also somebody else there with you and does the whole entire trajectory as well. You never fathom those moments. You never really think that those moments are actually going to happen. So I just remember looking back at that, and although I got to lift the trophy that night, but I got to play against and alongside, head to head, with one of my best friends growing up. So as a little boy. So that's probably one of my proudest moments.
That's a very cool
That's
moment. That's awesome.
that's
Lee, what else do you
crazy.
have for questions?
How'd you handle pressure, especially during big matches like the MLS Cup?
Yeah, but now I'm gonna have to give you some of my secrets for our mentorship. We're gonna this is gonna turn into a session, dude. Look, I will tell you this. I don't know if you and I talked about pressure with our first session, did we?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think we did. How do you view pressure, Mr. Leon?
I don't know. I just put that all aside.
You put it out to the side, but guess what's still there?
The pressure.
Yeah, pressure is always there, dude, right? Whether it be mom who puts pressure on you, whether it be your coaches who put pressure on you to do well, whether it be mom and dad who put pressure on you to do well in school. You make good grades?
Yes, I
I
do.
hope so, right? And I hope they put pressure on you to make good grades, right? Pressure is something that whenever I look at it, pressure is expectation, Mr. Leon. All right, it's the expectation that you have around you. It's the expectation of other people that they have around you. That expectation that you have on you is a lot of pressure. Whether I was playing in front of 80,000 people, whether I was playing in front of 100,000 people at one time, dude, whether I was playing in front of 45,000 people, it doesn't matter. I could tell myself, Liam, I could visualize and I can tell myself, okay, there's no pressure. But really, Liam, what's still there?
The pressure.
Pressure's always there, all right?
Yes, always there, no matter
So
what we're
this
doing in
is
life,
no
right?
matter what you're doing, Liam, the higher you go, where you go right now, you are one of the most pressured players in all of New Jersey because I don't count Red Bull being in New York. But you're one of the pressured players in all of New Jersey, dude. All right? You're one of the most pressured players. Did you know that?
No.
If you really think about it, you're one of the most pressured players in all of New Jersey because there are thousands and thousands of kids. There are thousands and thousands of kids who would do anything to be where you are right now. Now, look, this is how I view it. Pressure is earned, Mr. Liam. All right? You earned your pressure. You earned the right to be there. You earned to be one of the most pressured kids in all of New Jersey. If I'm walking in and I'm holding my little kid's hand, right, that I have to walk out with, about to listen to the national anthem, dude, um, I earned that pressure, dude. If I look up and I see 100,000 people, dude, I earned that pressure. That pressure was earned by the sacrifices that I made, by the dedication, by the hard work. So what I'm going to do with that pressure, Mr. Liam, I'm going to embrace it. I'm going to say, bring it on, man. Bring it on because, hey, I did everything I could to get to this spot in the first place. That's a great way to always view pressure. Make sense?
Yes.
I love
There you
that.
go.
Lee, you have to be doing something because I know one thing we consistently hear about you is like coaches love how even keel you are when you play. So there, you must go somewhere when you're playing. There's like a zone. You handle pressure very well.
I will say this, Liam, you probably play as you are as a kid. And I mean that in every way and shape and form that probably doesn't make any sense. You probably play as you are as a kid. And so I would assume that once you get off this podcast and once you get back into the car, man, you were probably super chill. And you're probably super chill throughout the day. You're probably a good listener and you're probably easygoing and you're even keeled and everything's okay. And that is translated onto the field. That is translated onto even transmitted into you as a player. I am a very jittery person off the field. I'm a goofball, dude. I'm the one that's doing jokes on people. I'm the one that's making people laugh in the locker room. I'm doing stupid things, man, right? I'm not doing too many stupid things on the field, but that was me as a player. I was always moving. I was always kind of playing with the person that was I was playing with, trying to maybe get into their mind to say, "Oh my gosh, this guy runs way too much." So that was me as a player as well.
Yeah, that's very spot on. Leon, if you would describe yourself, how would you describe yourself?
Calm.
You're very chill.
Yeah.
And where do you get that from?
You.
Gets it from mommy.
I was gonna say that was a good answer.
What was the toughest moment of your career, and how did you push through?
Toughest moment in my career is I had a lot of surgeries in my career, Liam. So someone who dealt with a lot of adversity. Do you know what that word means?
No.
Adversity means tough moments. It means moments that you have to go through that are sometimes really rough. And I went through a lot of moments of adversity in my career, and I think throughout our mentorship, you will get to know me quite well and seeing the type of adverse moments that I went through. My biggest moment was probably having hip reconstruction on both sides of my hips at the peak of my career. So I have quite a bit of holes in my hips, dude, on both sides, and I have a scar that goes all across the side of my pelvic bone. That was a pretty crazy surgery, Mr. Liam, and something that kind of held me back and took me away from the game for almost over a year. And that was actually at the peak of my career. So that was literally right after I'd just signed my biggest contract in my career, Liam. I was starting on the national team as a left back. I was really getting looks from teams in Europe to go back to Europe. I was really happy with where I was in life, and then boom, all of a sudden, lights turn off, start from zero, back up to the biggest valley that I've ever been on, and kind of being out of the game for a really long time. And I was very lucky to have a lot of support, but also kind of that self grit to get me through those moments and still find a way out, and having the self doubt of thinking, man, I don't know if I'm going to be the same player again. I don't know if I'm going to move the same. I don't know if I'm going to kick the same. I don't know if I'm going to have the same strength. But I think having the people around me that to really guide me the best way possible, and the support of my family was immense throughout those moments in time. And gave me that extra strength to push through and get back on the field and still able to conquer some really beautiful things. So very fortunate. And I think even those moments, like I said, one of the major things in life, Liam, is the resilience. Is what you learn in those moments about yourself can shape you into who you are the next day.
Mhm. Yeah.
What advice would you have for the kids that are going through, setbacks or injury or
Yeah, I would say, Liam, I know you're still young, but there will be setbacks. And there will be things that you have to get through. There will be things that you have to fight through. There will be things that you have to endure. There will be things that you also have to embrace in those moments. And although it might not be something that you think about yet, how you prepare for those moments and how you build your character and everything that you go through right now will be very, very beneficial to when those moments come. Now I can't read your hand, dude, and I can't tell you what they're going to be, but they will happen, and that's the life of a soccer player. That's the life of any professional athlete. That's the life of anyone who wants to be successful in anything that they do. If you and I are to listen to some billionaire talk on the phone or billionaire be on a podcast, I guarantee you he probably failed many different times before having that one idea that just shot through the roof and made him an absolute billionaire, right? So there are going to be those failing moments in life, but I would say really, really, really understanding how to always believe in yourself and stay disciplined with what you have in front of you can push you through those moments.
so let's switch gears and let's talk about what you're currently doing. It's so important. I just love it so much. It's called Beyond Goals Mentoring.
Yeah, it's myself and my co-founder, Michael Parkhurst. This was actually his idea. When we first retired, he was our captain for Atlanta United. He was the captain of Columbus Crew. He played for the New England Revolution. He had been to 6 MLS Cup finals. He only won the last one with us. So he had failed 5 MLS Cup finals and won the sixth one with us. So it was kind of like us needing to give him something to retire with. He played in the Champions League. He played in Germany. He played in Denmark. Had a hell of a career. Also went to Wake Forest as a college athlete and played in Wake Forest as well. Had success there as well. So someone who had this idea, we both always talked shop and always talked soccer, but most importantly, talked the mentality side because we sat right next to each other in the locker room within the years that we spent together with Atlanta United. And there were a lot of players that we knew, Liam, that were great soccer players, but maybe sometimes they just didn't understand the other vital components that go behind being a professional athlete. And Mike and I, Mr. Liam, we were great pros. We were great professionals. I don't say I was the best one on every team that I played on because I was not. I was not the best one on the team. I was not the flashiest player. I was somebody who knew the ins and outs, the rights and the wrongs, the do's and the don'ts, all the things to help me on and off the field the best way possible. Like you said, I was coachable. I had self belief in moments that I needed it. I was a good leader and good role model to those on and off the field. Um, I was a resilient player. I could get through tough moments with the team and still think positively. And so I always like to say I was also someone who could speak different languages. I was the glue to the team, and being a goofball, my personality helped that a lot, right, on and off the field. So we wanted to create something, Liam and Megan, to be an additional asset of support to you guys and understanding the importance of the mental side of the game. Now, the mental side of the game can mean a lot of different things. Liam, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a psychiatrist, and neither is Michael Parkhurst. But we've been in your shoes before, and we've been through the pathway that you are currently on right now, and we have the experience of playing the game at the highest of levels. And like I told you in the very beginning of that quote, it does not matter how elite you are at the game if you don't have an elite personality to go behind it. And so I will always use that as something that is extremely important in your guys' development as players.
And I look at you guys as this is not something that we will do a couple of sessions. I see you guys as someone, or, I haven't, met Mike yet, but you two will be a big part of Liam's life, I think, for years to come. As long as he's on this path, we need people like you. I need people like you, to help support myself and Liam. Wasn't it just so comforting to have like Greg and speak with him on Monday? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can speak freely and he understands where I can't. I don't. Oh, how are you and Mike different? Are you like yin and yang or like
He is the one with the ideas. I am I would say, workhorse, and someone who is just always wanting and willing to push towards things. He is the one that is, I mean, he was a captain, so he was the one that always thought things through very well, was able to connect with everybody on a very good basis. And I was the one, Liam, like I said, the one that was going to work my tail off. I could use another word there, right? But I was the one that was going to work my butt off at all times and do anything that I could to make sure we were all on the same path and same journey. And he was the one that kind of guided us to that journey. So that's why I would say we're a little bit different and we work absolutely perfectly together.
how do you structure your mentorship sessions and what can young players expect from them?
That is a fantastic question. Our structure is that there is no structure. It is custom tailored towards every individual. Liam, if you are wanting and willing and have the desire to learn to be a better leader on your team, then guess what we're going to focus on a lot of the time? We're going to focus on leadership. We're going to focus on ways to make you the best leader that you can be. You might already be a kid that's very confident. You might already be a kid that has a lot of resilience. So every kid and every individual, whether it be boy or girl, is so different in terms of what they want and what they might need in terms of development. And that's the beauty of coaching. That's the beauty of mentorship. So our mentorship is very custom tailored to each individual, to each family, in terms of what we can make that better. And I think that's sometimes the difference of what we take in terms of seeing like what we did in our careers from the sports psychology side or from other things within that realm is we absolutely love, but I know that maybe that sports psychologist was not in my shoes playing in front of 80,000 people. And they might not know, hey, what do I see if I see 80,000 people in this stadium? What in the world am I going to go through in my mind? How do I react to a certain play? How do I keep my composure when receiving the first pass? How do I lead when I can't even hear my own voice,
And
right?
fans like booing at you probably
Oh,
at
yeah,
certain
especially Red Bull fans, right? Huh?
and they're coming into town tomorrow, right?
They sure are.
But sorry to interrupt you there.
No, you're fine. You're fine. That's I think we hit everything. Yeah, our mentorship program is based to help not only players navigate the journey, but also help them on the components that they might want or need in order to be successful, not only in soccer, Liam. Soccer is our tool, dude. Soccer is our tool that we use, and you learn so many cool values with the sport to make you successful at whatever you want to do in life. I really hope that soccer lasts you so long that you don't need to do anything else in life, dude. But you never know how long soccer will last us. But the values and the teachings and lessons that you are learning right now will help you immensely. And mom knows all about that since she also played sports in college.
I did. I did. Can you believe I was a 3-point specialist, fifth in the
There you go.
nation? And my coach used to call me Miss America. That's how it,
There
like,
you go.
yeah, like certain coaches know how to motivate a player. And he knew, like, if he said something like smart or nasty to me, like, I would get so angry and I would just, like, go down and be like, that's in your face.
There you go.
But anyhow, um, what age group or skill levels benefit most from your program?
I think all ages and all levels because it does not matter what level you are playing. It could be a kid who is in high school and wants to make varsity from JV. And just helping them through those moments to navigate how to be more confident or what to do, how to be on and off the field. But I would say one thing we really hold close to our hearts are especially kids that are in very similar journeys as we are or that we were within our careers. So, Liam, that goes directly pointed to you because you are on a very special and unique path, very different than the most. You are, as of right now, you are in that 1%, right? And so that's something like we talked about that pressure. You earned that 1%, right? So it's very beautiful process, but one that comes with immense responsibility and accountability as well. So helping you along those ways is extremely important.
You have young kids that play soccer. How do you handle their journey?
Everything I say goes through one ear and right out of the other. Although I have my accolades and my experience,
Greg, that's
uh,
why you're in my life now.
there
Everything
you
that
go.
goes out
Yep,
his ear now, like
yep,
he has you to tell.
yep. It's my kids. If you think pressure is a lot, Liam, look at my kids, dude. Right? My kids, I played for almost 13 years. Their grandpa played for 17 years, and their uncle played for Barcelona. All right, played for Barcelona and plays in Cyprus right now and on a Greek island. And he's been a pro, I want to say, for 14 years. So dude, they got a lot of pressure, right, man? But once again, I will always say, just take this sport as far as it will get you. Use it as a platform to take it as far as you can because there's nothing like sport. Sport teaches so much, and it's such a unique opportunity to stay active, do what you love, get through frustrations because it's not something that's always brings happiness. There are frustrating moments, but it'll help you at the end of the road.
It's great advice. Do you have any final questions, Lee?
Yeah. If you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
You want to know what it is?
What?
Stretch more. I bet you don't stretch. I bet you don't stretch enough.
I tell him this all the time. Do I
There
not
you
say this
go.
like
Now you heard it.
every day?
Huh?
Every
There you
day.
go. So when you are finishing your day, dude, and you want to watch, I don't know if you're a TikTok kid or an Instagram Reels kid or a YouTube kid at the end of your day, while you're doing all of that stuff, grab a mat, dude. You want to watch Netflix, you want to watch YouTube, grab a mat and stretch. All right? At the end of every day, man, whatever stretches you can, 10, 15, 20 minutes, the 100-hour rule, you can look that up later. All right? Is something that is very beneficial.
Okay, one final question.
Yeah.
What's your go-to coffee order?
God.
Um, I'm a cat. This one's for mom. Huh, Liam? You're not there yet. Look, Liam, you want to know when I started drinking coffee?
When?
When I moved to Brazil. I was 12 years old. Yep. Before our game, Liam, all these boys were lining up before our very first game, and they had this little igloo cooler, and they had these little bitty cups like this, and the coach would give each player one. And you'd line up, boom, pop a shot. Line up, boom, pop a shot. So that was my first game ever in Brazil, and guess what I could not do? Not drink it because it's the head coach giving you a shot of espresso right before the game. So that's when it all started. They ruined me from 12 years old until today. But my favorite coffee is probably just a regular old traditional cappuccino. That's where I'm at always.
Gotta love a cappuccino. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for being
Yeah.
here with us today. Like, you have such amazing advice on and off the field, and your journey as a player and what you're doing now is just remarkable. So, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me, and it's a beautiful journey that we're all on, Liam. So, like I said, don't take it for granted. Embrace it, enjoy it, and love it each and every day. There's nothing I'm sure you would rather choose to do in life than do what you do every single day. So, always remember that in the back of your mind. That's the joy and happiness that you have in doing. I always tell you guys as kids, always find your why. Finding your why is extremely important. So always knowing your why of what you do, nothing better than that, dude.
Awesome. That's a great note to
All
end
Yeah.
on. Okay, have a good one.
right. See you guys. Take care.
Bye.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you.